In this presentation, I will go through a credit risk management Know Your Customer use case with the Siren platform. I have loaded the system with a number of synthetic but realistic datasets to simulate a bank scenario. Here, I have 500,000 emails from the Enron Bank dataset, then over 100,000 simulated customer records, 6 million company records, and records of shareholding and directorships. Finally, I've collected real streams of news and tweets where company names are mentioned and interconnected in real time. Let's now see how I defined the data model for this scenario. In the data model configuration, one can define how the data tables, which contain emails and people for example, are interconnected by common keys such as email addresses. Even if the data comes from multiple big data backend systems, the relationships are simply defined by specifying the table fields which contain these keys and the name of the relationship. This very simple configuration is sufficient to conceptually transform what used to be disconnected data tables into a coherent knowledge graph which can now be explored by the operator. In my scenario, I want to find customers that might be involved in bad news. In this news dashboard, the sentiment analysis system allows me to restrict to news marked as negative. As the system has automatically interconnected news to company records, with one click I can reach the list of companies that have been mentioned in bad news. Here I can see the analytics of all these 5,000 companies, and as a bank manager, restrict to my area of interest both geographically and by filtering on metadata attributes, for example revenue or any other. Notice how at each step of my investigation the number of interconnected records changes. Here, for example, I can see that there are 4,000 shareholders of these very companies. I can then click on the relational button and see the list of all these. But most importantly, from this point, I can see which one of these are actually my customers. One extra click and I can now see the list of bank customers which respond to all my criteria, which means they are shareholders of companies in my area which have been recently mentioned in news with negative sentiment. As a bank manager, I can now sort by any metric, for example by the amount of money that has been borrowed, and proceed by taking a look at the riskier situations. In the integrated link analysis system, it is possible to take any record or group of record and start a semantic investigation where the connections are unfolded. In this example, I can see the customer record as well as the emails and the shareholding records all the way to the news that originally triggered the alert. Geographical and temporal instruments are available at any time. If any of the entity is a geographical entity, for example, it can be projected on a map. Likewise, it is possible to browse temporally and with an integrated tool to see the evolution of the knowledge graph as the news, the emails, and the other records arrived in time. Finally, we choose the articles that created the original alert, and from here we can reach the original dashboard where the articles are visible. This will allow the bank manager to verify and possibly take action. In conclusion, we have demonstrated the Siren Data Intelligence Platform in a scenario where crossing unstructured and structured data is key. By connecting directly to your existing databases, big data infrastructure, and search engines, the Siren platform delivers true data intelligence. Your data sources enhance and complement each other thanks to a simple but incredibly effective data modeling process. As a result, with no need of ETL into a graph database, your existing data sources can now be explored as if they were a single knowledge graph in a unified and exciting data investigation environment.